Welcome to the Breakaway USA podcast. My name is Fabian. Welcome to the show. And by the way, if you are listening, please consider subscribing and giving this a like. It really helps when the algorithm sees this to show it to more people and to get the word out and spread the good news and the gospel and the unwokeness that we are preaching here today. Mike and Gentry, great to talk to you guys.
As usual. What do
It's
we
going to
got
be a good
today, guys?
podcast. I'm excited.
And this is number 10. Podcast 10.
I believe so.
Mhm.
So for a lot of people that haven't been keeping up with what we're doing, you may have missed Gentry's daily show, a better daily show with Gentry Jeevers, which airs every day, Monday through Friday, at 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. or whenever he chooses to stop. So you can catch that on Rumble, X, YouTube, and those are the three main platforms there. All the links are available at the links in our bio, or you can go to breakawayusa.co to access that there. Today, we wanted to give you an update on what's been happening in the world. There's a lot of news stories, and Gentry and I have been, because of the Daily Show in the morning, going over these in depth, and we'd like to bring some of those to you to catch you up on what's happening and to go a little more in depth than we can really on the morning shows. So let's get into it.
So the clip that everybody is talking about is Elon Musk getting interviewed by, I think it was the New York Times.
Somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising? Blackmail me with money? Go yourself. Go yourself. Hey, Bob.
He has this like truth-filled interview that's no fluff, all just straight up, hey, this is what's happened. He goes over the advertising. He even like calls out the Biden administration on electric vehicles, calls out Bob Iger. But the clip, the snippet that everybody is talking about is when the host is asking Elon what his thoughts are and how he's going to save X, Twitter, from this huge advertiser backlash. He just basically says GFU or GFY. So go F you.
Yeah. Like multiple times, right? He's adamant. He's
very, very clear.
But I mean, he's putting it in the right terms. He's being blackmailed, right? Mm-hmm. This orchestrated boycott of advertising in unison at the flip of a coin when Media Matters comes out and says this nonsense. This was being planned behind closed doors for sure. They've all been wanting to do this to kind of take away the power from the free speech on X.
I mean, it seems like a conspiracy.
Yeah, a conspiracy, right? But they're blackmailing him. Sorry, it's an orchestrated blackmail attempt to kind of destroy Twitter.
Yeah, let's see what. Yeah, actually, let's play this so people can hear.
If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money, go yourself.
Go F yourself.
Go yourself. Is that clear? I hope it is. Hey, Bob.
That last part really got me.
Who's Bob?
Hey, Bob.
Bob Iger from Disney.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I would assume that's Bob, unless there's another Bob that I don't know about. But yeah, Bob Iger from Disney, who...
I mean, it's pretty clear it's Bob Iger, to be honest.
Which is interesting because apparently, according to the news, he had that gentleman that was trying to buy up all the shares, a conservative gentleman that has a lot of money. Nelson Peltz. And kind of take over the board seats to change the direction of Disney and the way that they've been going.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess not.
It's still in motion. A hostile takeover, it doesn't happen overnight, right? And Disney is quite a bit bigger than X, right? So there's a ton more shares to buy up, a ton more capital to go raise. So, I mean, this is kind of like one of my favorite shows. I don't know if you guys have watched the show Succession. But it's like, oh, it's really good. You'll love it. But it's basically this media family that struggles to maintain power in their, pseudo Fox News empire. And it's
right.
It's
Okay,
it's
yes.
really good, but this is playing out before our eyes.
But so that yeah, right. So it's basically kind of reenacting the real life events of the Fox News family of what's the family's name?
Because
Yeah. So Robbie Starbuck actually
Murdoch
posted.
family. Sorry, Murdoch
Murdoch,
family.
Yeah.
Also, you
Yeah.
had the older guy, the Murdoch, who was a bit more conservative, and then the kids are a lot more progressive, and I believe they're Democrats.
Yeah. Gentry, what are we looking at here on the screen?
So Robbie Starbuck, his background is he ran for Congress in Tennessee, didn't make it, so he's got a show on X. I'm a big fan of what he puts out. He and his wife are just champions for the movement, but he is starting this movement to defund Disney Plus, which is one of Disney's most profitable products right now, outside of ESPN, which just is a cash cow. I don't know how ESPN would go under, even though it went super woke. But he's encouraging everybody to cancel their Disney Plus subscriptions. It's a really small step, to be honest. I think it's like $10 a month or $12 a month or something like that. But reports are that thousands of people already this morning have canceled their Disney Plus subscription. And if you understand how tech works, every time you lose one subscriber or, thousands of subscribers, that really, really, really hurts the valuation of the company, because they're trying to base projections on the monthly reoccurring revenue or the annual reoccurring revenue. So, I mean, if we got thousands of people doing that, that could be quite a big hit. I know that Disney Plus has had a huge downswing in subscribers, mostly because the content that they're putting out sucks. It is
true.
awful. So I am a big fan of Marvel, just not right now. I mean, it really, to be honest, it makes sense. It makes sense for people just to cancel a subscription because their content sucks.
Well,
Right?
I'll tell you what, there's nothing I've watched on Disney Plus in the last like 6 months that I haven't stopped watching. So I try, and I love the Star Wars series, but Ashoka was super woke. Even the one before that just really didn't make any sense. It's they've lost their way.
The Obi-Wan show was awful. Mandalorian is okay. People have a lot
I like
good to say
Mandalorian.
about it, but it's also very slow, and there's not one lightsaber, or there's that anyways, whatever.
There's been so many movies that I've watched lately that there's even one with Tom Hanks called Otto, and all of a sudden in the middle, not even in the middle of the movie, like a quarter of the way through, there's a guy delivering the paper and he's trans, and he says basically like, "Oh, hey, I remember you." Yeah, he goes, "I'm scared to come out because I'm trans." And he's like,
Oh
"Oh,
my
well,"
God.
and it's just it becomes a
So
whole thing. I'm like,
irrelevant.
what? Why? Why? I mean, I know why. They're feeling the ramifications of people being fed up. So I think this is a good thing because the consumer is the end. I mean, all Disney does is produce content for the consumer, for us. They are not the ones that are telling us what we should like. We are the ones dictating what we should like, and they try to figure that out with all this money that they have. They clearly know that they're not making stuff for the broad market. They're making stuff so that they can fulfill their ESG requirement and get a high CEI score. And we know that they are one of the most woke companies ever have existed. So this is coming at a good time. I don't even remember if I have my Disney subscription anymore. I may have let it lapse after the last Star Wars, but if I don't, or rather if I do have it, I will be canceling it today. And it sucks because I have really good friends that work at Disney, do an incredible job. It's just the people at the top don't understand the consumer, or don't want to understand the consumer.
I mean, looking at the Disney stock price already, it's come down immensely since 2021. It was at a high of 190, and now it's hovering around 92.
Yeah.
Wow.
If it can fall anymore, I mean, they're in trouble. They're already pretty much in trouble. They're at one of their lowest prices since.
But this is exactly
2014.
what that gentleman that you mentioned, Gentry, I forget his name. This is what they want. Because if you want to do a hostile takeover, or if you want to do anything like that, you need the stock price to be as low as possible so you can scoop up as much as possible, have a majority shares to get on the board, and then dictate the future of the company. So if the plan is to let it hurt and let it bleed, for a little bit, and Bob Iger is no dummy. He's helped Disney succeed before. This might be in the game plan. So their last movie
Bob
horribly.
Iger is the more
CEO.
progressive. He's the more progressive CEO, and it's Nelson Peltz who is a conservative who's trying to take it over. Is that right?
Well, I don't even think you need to be progressive for that. You just need to be common sense CEO. Like, the job is for you to make money, not to fulfill a check mark.
But
how long has Bob Iger been
in?
How long has Bob Iger been the CEO? Because Disney went through a boom in like 2000s and like the 2010s, right? With Marvel and the acquisition of Star Wars and all this kind of stuff. So like how long has he been in? Because something's drastically shifted.
Well, he left and then he came back. Yeah, he left and then he came back because they were struggling. So his job is to reinvigorate the company and get it back to its former glory.
But I don't know. I mean, he's been around for the last 15 years. He's been CEO for 15 years.
So he was a great CEO, and something happened, and now
Larry Fink and BlackRock happened.
Yeah,
really.
Or he got caught up with the Epstein blackmail ring.
Oh well, that's and Pizzagate. That's possible. But we've spoken about this.
Yeah, he returned to Disney in November of 2022, less than a year after he retired.
Okay. So he retired after 15 years, and then he came back. Okay. BlackRock is the economic weaponized arm of the WEF, right? From what we've discussed and looked over. And Larry Fink's strategy is to attack the salaries of these CEOs if they can't reach these DEI metrics. And so Bob Iger, I mean, I think that he's worried about his own pocket, or this board of trustees or whoever is running the show. These people's salaries are on the line if they can't reach these DEI metrics. So it's not the people within the company, it's the people at the top that are governing the direction of it, right? And it's very easy for them to push it in a certain direction just by the people they hire.
To go back to your point about the CEOs trying to fulfill a DEI checkbox, I released a video not too long ago where I went through Disney's quarterly reports, the ones that they give to the shareholders, and they have, I forget how many board members, maybe like 12 or so. They have different boxes next to their name. One is for different qualifications of the job, like sales and marketing, cybersecurity, et cetera, et cetera. And I saw one, and it's called, and I don't remember the exact name of the box, but it's something had to do with I think it's a diversity box. Yes, it's a diversity box. Okay. And out of all 12 members of the board, I believe there were only 2 members that did not have that check by their name. And guess who they were? The only 2 white males on the board were the ones that didn't get that diversity check. Now, if you're a board member and you somehow, whatever, you get fired or you move on, your next job is going to ask you, well, did you complete the diversity check? Oh, no. Okay. So that can be a qualification to getting hired as a board member in the future. But it was just so coincidental that the only 2 people that didn't have that checkbox were the 2 white males on the board. And it also said, just to add to that, I looked up what that box meant, what the diversity box meant, and it said that they have the values that Disney wants to kind of push on people.
Some mumbo jumbo, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they have to align it with that and actually give it a reason and not make it this culture war thing, right? Which we know it is.
So how invincible do you think they are? Because if they're trying to focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion and all this other ESG stuff, and they're producing terrible content and their stock price keeps falling and they keep making the same moves, like how invincible do they think
how invincible
they are?
Do we think that they think they are?
Yeah, because I mean, Disney is an institution, but if people stop buying from the institution, then it literally could go out of business. I mean, depending on how much debt they have, right? They're probably doing right. And I mean, depending on the stock price too, they could potentially have a call on that debt and then just literally wrap it all up and call it quits, close the doors, right?
Well, I
Possibility.
I think from a financial standpoint, if you're an investor, you want two things. You want to buy stocks in a long term in a company that you believe that's going to last long term, and you want to get it for the cheapest price possible. If the goal is to get it for the cheapest price possible, then doing things like this in the meantime makes sense. So you can swipe it up. If you're a big hedge fund, if you're BlackRock and you want to just own more and more of it, then it makes sense to go through this positioning or to this time where you can get it for cheaper. The second thing is that if they are the biggest proponents of this ESG woke stuff, we clearly know that BlackRock has what $8 trillion or so under management. They can easily keep Disney afloat by just keep buying shares, giving them credit lines, infusing them with cash. So it's not an issue of will they go out of business. It's how much time do we want them to be hurting so that they have to go and seek money from these firms and hedge funds that have ESG in mind, because
Mm,
it just puts them
that's-
more and more in their camp, the less money they have.
So 2 points on there. One of them is comparing it to CNN and how we know CNN is likely not a profitable enterprise, and that it's likely being propped up by something like the CIA or different federal institutions as essentially the propaganda arm of the government, right? And the second thing is that we've seen Larry Fink at BlackRock have a bit of a change of heart and coming out and saying that we've taken a bit of a step back at pushing this ESG DEI stuff, because he's realizing, first of all, that it's a disaster. You look at Target, you look at Anheuser-Busch and Bud Light, you look at all these campaigns that are nonsensical, that don't even have their target audience in mind. Like you got Bud Light promoting to transgender people who likely don't drink Bud Light, and it's insulting the main audience, the main consumer of that product. Like whose brilliant mind is this going through? I don't understand how they're putting these ideas together. But so they're taking a step back on it because they're seeing that this is taking over the whole strategic goals of these companies, and they're not working. It's not hitting their bottom line, and all these companies are suffering. So there's two aspects of it that they're seeing, that Marvel's Captain Marvel movie or whatever that just came out is a disaster, right?
The Marvels, yeah.
The Marvels,
it did horribly. Yeah,
I haven't seen it, but I kind of don't really want to see it because it just looks like
not seen it.
So I'm glad you brought up Bud Light, because I don't know if you guys saw, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, but transgender Dylan Mulvaney won Forbes Woman of the Year.
Oh, is he even transgender?
I don't. So
or he
here's
or she or they.
I don't know.
Whatever.
The person
Is he like, I don't know if he's a cross dresser or actually like transgender or what.
But either way, I mean,
himself.
That person is a freak, and that person also put out a video on his TikTok.
Yeah, I saw it today.
Just crying about how this day should have been amazing because he was on the cover of Forbes and all this kind of stuff. And because of all the hate online, it just like he's like, I don't know why I feel like crying all the time, blah blah blah, and everyone's commenting
It's
it's
just a mental
all
breakdown.
the estrogen, bro. All the estrogen.
If your hormones are completely out of whack, it's like having a period.
Oh, so he is
10.
transitioning. Okay, he is transitioning.
No, I mean, I don't know.
So here's like,
yeah, he is. I'm reading it. He is. Yeah. So I guess yes, it is.
It must be a slow transition.
It's just astonishing how weird this is. So here's like, I don't necessarily have like a big issue with people being trans. I have a really big issue with people thinking it's okay, because trans influencers on TikTok who are gaining millions and millions of views and followers and likes, and it's really the audience that they're catering to that's giving them this platform, right?
But who's the main audience on TikTok?
Well, that's the thing, is we don't know if it's a real organic audience or if it's just something that's being pushed by the Chinese who run TikTok to break down culture even more. It's
That
very
is
easy
true.
to fill people with fake views, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, what I'm doing is really resonating with people. Let me do it more because I get more clout." And if you start
Yeah.
making money off it, what are you gonna just stop doing it? No, because now that's your livelihood. So your livelihood depends on you just being a Dylan Mulvaney type of just very crazy in your face type of person. Then they got you.
She is making 100,000 per month promoting different
Yeah,
brands on their
yeah.
TikTok and whatnot.
So the point I was trying to make though is about the attention economy, right? And I think that this goes back to even what Fabian you put on your stories yesterday is whatever gets attention is going to succeed. To be honest, good, bad, ugly, like we're finding out that all press is good press right now, right?
Mhm.
Especially if you're going to take a really, really hard stance. And so, Fabian, what you put in your story yesterday was so good. You said something like celebrate the USA, celebrate what we have here
Hard.
because they hate it. And so that actually challenged me a little bit to go out and find like good stories about, American excellence, stories about
Yes.
how we are succeeding instead of always pushing this negative narrative that we're going to crap and all this kind of stuff, because whatever we draw attention to, it's going to succeed. And so why not go ahead and highlight people who are starting companies, or people who are doing good deeds, or people who are being good fathers, or good family, or good whatever, because I mean, that's really what's going to happen. There's a really famous quote by Gandhi. It's like, it says, be the change that you want to see in the world. Right. And I feel like, I mean, if I can start highlighting more of these good deeds, good people, all this kind of stuff, then it'll be a better place. One last point. One of my favorite accounts on TikTok is a guy called Crave TV. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but essentially what he does is he goes and finds people who are getting 0 views on TikTok and YouTube and Twitch. And he basically makes a little video saying, this guy's awesome. He's authentic, but he's getting no views. Let's help him out.
Oh, that's really
And
cool.
he has blown up YouTube accounts, blown up Twitch accounts. So he's gotten people
That's
like
amazing.
millions of subscribers. He got one Twitch creator to partner with the Twitch app because he had a viral video and everyone just hopped on board, right? And it's not like these guys are like amazing creators like you see.
It's just genuine people. Like
It's just
doing
real
good. Yeah.
people. It's not the clickbaity like Sneeko or whatever the other guy's name is that's
Yeah.
popping off right now.
There's a during COVID, I don't know if you guys saw this, but something a little similar to that. John Krasinski started something called Some Good News. I don't know if you heard about this, because remember everything was just so bad. It was a negative, negative, negative. He started Some Good News, and it was just him in his boxers but wearing like a suit, like a on the top, it was like a
Yeah.
funny thing,
Yeah.
and just highlighting good stories like families and reunions and things like that. And it took off. They have a few million followers across all social media platforms, and I think he sold it off to someone who is now continuing the work. But yeah, that's amazing, because I felt a little the same way that you felt. So when I posted that, I even filled myself with the idea of, yeah, start showing more of the good stuff, more of the happy
Mhm.
stuff. But the other part is you do have to make people realize that the other side is illogical. It's doing things it's corrupt. It's wants to corrupt society and culture. But at the same time, you have to position that against something. If you just only talk about how they're bad, yes, we get it. But you also have to position them, because if someone sees a happy family, and we know that these leftists, they hate happiness. Like they hate when you are happy, when you're
It's pure
comfortable.
resentment and jealousy. That's
That's
what
all
their
it
side
is.
craves.
So if you
And
can
victimhood.
post things and show that this is just happiness, we are happy, and ignore the other side, that's what they hate the most. If you ignore them, then they have no power. When you give them a presence, they have more power.
It's very interesting how I think the more conservative type people crave positivity and crave seeing people succeed and crave seeing, people that are genuine and family people or just good people succeed. And the left just resents it completely. they're so negative about everything. So you're right. But so the media, mainstream media in general, focuses on pure negativity. And it's odd because people really ultimately deep down, even these people that are very resentful on the surface that I think have been manipulated by the professors and by, the mainstream news and whatnot, I think ultimately that they do crave positivity. They do crave camaraderie and good things, but they find themselves kind of connecting with people on this resentment level, and that's fulfilling for them because they see all these all these problems with the world that they think they can fix, this hero complex that we've spoken about a lot. So yeah, I think it's a great idea to focus more on positivity. Going back to what we're talking about with the audience for people on TikTok, first of all, a lot of it is children, right? And they're targeting children. What China can do to fight in this culture war and to kind of pull down the US even more and the Western world is to just change the algorithm a little and push that a little more than it would naturally be organically. And that's a very easy way of them going about
It's like a dial,
Yeah.
right? How
Yeah.
far do you turn the dial? Okay, we need to ramp it up. Just turn it, and then it just pushes it. It's like a car, and you're driving culture,
And we've
not the
seen the
right way.
effect. We've seen the effect. Patrick Bet David kind of pulled out these statistics, and it's something like 20% of Gen Z identifies as non-binary, trans, or whatever, and it's not normal. It's not natural. But
Yep.
so I think that if you see Javier Milei in Argentina, he's talking about we're winning the culture war. But we're winning the culture war because we finally understand that there is a culture war. That they've been fighting this culture war with the long march through the institutions, in universities, in media, in entertainment for all these years, and we're finally like, oh shit, our kids are completely brainwashed. They don't understand the inherent values that made us a free country, the inherent values of America, and we need to look at everything from the education, the public schools, and what they're teaching. And we're coming to a big inflection point in history, in American history, where we're seeing this renaissance. We're seeing this revival of these foundational values, and it's great to see. So we got to focus on it more and shed light on it.
Well, thank you for joining us on this episode of the Breakaway USA podcast. Make sure that you follow us on all socials, and please like and subscribe and share with friends that you want to hear this information as well. So, from Gentry, Michael, and myself, we will see you next time.
Take care, folks.